All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 39. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. We got a very special guest, Respawn acquisition news, sports games as a service, and of course, the console launch of the Beast to discuss. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord whose content I was initially introduced to by my co-host, Lord Addict. This Lord provides very high quality tech and gaming news, which is always broken down with humor in a clear and concise format. Although this Lord's content is predominantly Xbox centric, he's always willing to back his own opinions with facts and is never afraid to engage in intellectual debate regarding topics he is most passionate about. Introducing the creator and host of the Real Deal Xbox podcast, the leader of Tech Tangents and one of the top 5 YouTube personalities in the game. It's been a long time coming for the Reaper and Real Deal in these Xbox streets. My man, Lord Dealer Gaming, how are you doing, sir?
Wow, man. Man, he put all kinds of spice on that intro. I can't get anybody to be that nice to me, man. So, I mean, thanks. Yeah, that was a lot of bullshit, but I appreciate it.
How you doing, Lord Dealer? How's it going, man?
It's early Sunday morning for a lot of us, and it's good to be here, and I do appreciate the invite. Never been here before. Always looking for these kinds of experiences. A lot of good stuff to talk about today. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Much appreciated. Huge fan of your work. You're a Lord at what you do, so we had to roll out the red carpet for you. And, of course, we have the usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, and the howl of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict. How you doing, sir?
King, shut your mouth. I know you're tempted. Shut it.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. Yeah, actually up nice. And you coherent. And it sounds like you took a Red Bull. Let's go.
It's good to be here. You know, it's a miracle I made it this week. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I went through a lot of foolishness to make it to this podcast today.
Nah, we appreciate you, bro. We know you're going through it. And, of course, the most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single-player selfish experience. Xbox Live profile this week. My man, Lord Sovereign, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah, man. Profile is live all week and Switch, like all over the place.
Yo, I'm impressed right now.
This is the longest
you out here.
This is the longest I've ever seen him on Xbox, like ever.
And that's why I need to take vacation when these consoles drop, because otherwise you'll never see me.
Yeah. His online status was all day.
Very impressive, Lord Sovereign. We're very impressed.
It was so bad when you go on his profile, it says this dude ain't been off since yesterday.
Yeah, no.
For real.
And of course, the excess gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions, puts it all on the line, and demands nothing less than the premium experience.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you guys doing? It has been a phenomenal week. Let's get into combat sports last night.
I'll go get something to drink.
All right. Yes. As long as you're not sleeping, sir, we're great. Yeah, Jared Baby Miller versus a tomato can yesterday, and he did what he does to a tomato can. He crushes him. Yeah, that was great. All right, yeah, Danny Jacobs versus Arias, and I anticipated a better fight. Arias had a lot of talk. Danny Jacobs washed this boy for 12 rounds straight. He would have knocked him out because he was in seek and destroy mode, but it didn't go down like that for the simple fact the dude was running. Look at the irony when I say this, because he pointed to Danny Jacobs before the fight started and said, "Look, bro, don't run." And he had on track shoes and roller skates. Yeah,
fights like that.
If you're gonna be that dude, please. I'm gonna pass it off to my co-host over here for the UFC real quick, because I'm pretty sure that the UFC had something last night that I gotta check into.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, actually, I kind of caught the end of it. I didn't really catch the main card, but yeah, my boy Showtime Pettis, he got his rib broke. Dustin Poirier put it on him, so he won that joint. I actually missed the card, so I got to catch up. I'll probably UFC Fight Pass that on the Xbox app and see what the rest was going on. But yeah, big card last night. Dustin Poirier and Showtime Pettis.
Ooh,
so check that.
Broken ribs. I like that. Sounds great.
No doubt. And of course, it's Lord Cognito here, spreading that gaming realness on the ILP. Not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yeah,
So,
hold on.
what's up?
It just says this podcast X-enhanced.
Hey, man, killing us when we do all those sports joke. So before we get into what the Lords are playing, I want to start with Lord Dealer, his video game system history, the creation of the Dealer Gaming YouTube channel, and of course, that amazing RDX podcast. So Lord Dealer, let's start from the beginning. Like, what were the first video game systems that you had and you started with?
Actually, that was the same night I found out Santa Claus wasn't real. Unfortunately, it was the Sega Genesis. I do believe that was my first system.
You was a Sega kid back in the day. Okay.
I was a fucking, I don't know. I was a lot of type of kid, but yeah, I got a Sega Genesis, and then from there I moved on from that to Super NES, and then PS1. And I remember thinking when I saw Silent Hill on PS1, I was like, there is no way games are going to look any better than this. Right? You go back and you look at it now, it is literally just pixels crawling on the screen. So it's insane how we progressed. Absolutely phenomenal time to be a gamer, especially in the Xbox side, as you guys know. Yeah, that's
absolutely
where I started and where I went.
Nice, man. Nice, man. So then after you progressed to the Xbox, like would you one of the original OG Xbox systems that was the first one, or did you jump in like during the 360 era?
Had a PS2 like everyone else, had a PS1 like everyone else. I decided to jump into the Xbox and see what that was all about. First game was actually Robotech on the Xbox. Interestingly enough.
Nice.
Pretty cool game, I guess. Mecha Assault's probably the game that got me most curious about Xbox. I remember looking at that old that old TV. I think it was at Walmart. They had these old TVs, and you look up and you see all the whatever, the Xbox games, PS2 games. Mecha Assault was up there. I was like, man, that destruction, even as a kid, was next level to me.
Yeah,
absolutely. You'd run into the buildings, they'd crack and crumble, and then it was just nuts looking. So I had to get into the Xbox, and from there, after I murdered the first burglar in my house with that big ass Xbox, you can use that thing as a weapon. So I just kind of really embraced the platform around the original Xbox. Being able to put my own music on the console, listen to it in the background.
Oh, yeah, remember that? Yeah. Custom soundtracks.
I filled the whole, what was it, a 40 megabyte? No, it was like a 10 gigabyte hard drive up. I don't remember. It was so small, but I filled all of it up with music, and I just gamed, man. So original Xbox, definitely fell in love with that one.
So you filled it up with music and then realized you had no more room to put games on, right?
I know, right? I was like, fire, I gotta save some stuff now. So, had to delete some POC, but
oh, you had the POC going? Okay.
Yeah.
No, you had to pull that PlayStation 2 days where you had to beat the whole game without the memory.
I think I had to leave that thing on for a little bit when I first got it. I didn't have a memory card.
I remember back in the day, man, I must have been like legitimately an idiot. Like, I don't know if I was thinking very well because I used to play the Final Fantasy games without a memory card. And then thinking at it now, like how much time I wasted like at the beginning portions of the Final Fantasy games. And like, I don't know, I must have been like not that bright of a kid. Like I couldn't, right? Like just, I was literally.
Is that as a child?
Just because some of us are old, don't mean the rest are, okay?
I'm just saying that you finally admitted your shortcomings. It's fantastic.
No, I was a child, not when I'm 26. It's not my fault.
Some people never grow up, baby.
moving along.
Not my fault. Some people
the original Xbox was so ahead of its time. Hard drive and the Ethernet port involved, custom soundtracks. So Dealer definitely is bringing me back with that. So now that you progress, now what got you to start like your own YouTube channel to get in the game? Like what was the beginnings of that, Dealer?
Oh man. Like a lot of you guys, I used to watch people. Who did I start watching first? Man, I probably stumbled onto Disease Channel, Next Gen 720. And he was the one guy out there, bullets flying past his head, representing the Xbox. I was excited for the Xbox One. I feel like people should be allowed to do that, and unfortunately, he wasn't back then. Whether like him or hate him, that's the dude that got me into this. But I was watching a lot of people. I think I was kind of introduced a kid, and gosh, everyone fucking quit. But yeah, I mean, nobody hardly does it anymore. But ultimately, the game that got me to make my first video was Destiny. What a big
salute, Lord. Let's go.
Hang on. Yeah, I ain't done yet. That big piece of shit to make a video.
You're allowed to go in on the first one. You're allowed to go into the first one.
Yeah, just oh my god, it was like the most. I'm not even gonna go all the way.
Don't get it twisted. He goes in on the second one too.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Long story short, guys, Destiny 1 got me to make a video about it, and I used to make daily videos, and I just grinded every single day. I had a video out, and man, I remember sitting at 4 subscribers for like what felt like forever. Shout out to the 5th motherfucker, So
shout out to the 5th. Lord Anchorman might be the 5th. He's in the chat. He says, "I remember when Dylan was a young buck out in those YouTube streets."
Yeah, Anchorman was one of them out there before I started as well. So yeah, shout out, man.
Shout out to that, no doubt. So then you progress, you start to build, you got that channel popping, and then we got that amazing RDX. Tell me about how that started.
That just started from a kind of a whim, just to want to be on a more constructed podcast, I guess, right? Keep it real. We got a panel of very mixed opinions and racist too. We've got probably got the most diverse podcast on the internet. So, yeah, we got a lot of cool opinions on there. We got guys that run PlayStation this generation. They were 360 guys last generation. We got myself, which I'm an Xbox guy, but I got a decent gaming PC. Colt Eastwood, kind of the same thing, but he moved towards PC.
Shout out to Colt. Shout out to Colt.
We got a really diverse cast of people. We try to keep it about an hour long, get a lot of information out there very quickly, unlike what I'm doing exactly right now. And of course, it's early. Come on, guys. So we just try to do what we do and have a great time. We have a good turnout every week, and we appreciate the support.
I appreciate you, man. And shout out to the team, because I definitely respect all the guys and gal you got on there. You got Luca, Colt, South, who I rock with. I met. We drank together in Cali. South was good people, man. Yeah. And I believe you also in the team all day. Shout out your squad, man.
Yeah, he's been all day's been working before basically the day of the show, trying to get things in order for the X, and he did that. So he should be back more often. You got Jay Fonzarelli. You got
Fonzarelli. That's my guy right
now. Yeah, Fonzarelli. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why we talk UFC sometimes too.
AKA Fraudarelli. And then we got no, shout out to Fonz. He was absolutely just blown away by Assassin's Creed last night. I mean, this guy was
nice.
Whew. So yeah, good team.
Nice, good team, man. We like what you're doing out there. Great stuff, very informative, and you guys put in work. So we had to salute the Lords. Yeah, definitely salute.
RDX is definitely an amazing podcast. It's so good that we had to move Planet Xbox out of Tuesday.
You out there taking people's spot.
Hey man, I think that people tune in. People tune into the shows they like. It's all in
I literally had people in the comment section saying that one of you need to switch your days, because I'm tired of flipping through back and forth between both podcasts, and I'm like, who flips between podcasts? Like, who does
it? Dedicated people. Yeah, dedicated people do. Like, I watch Dealer stuff. So, and I was telling Cognito like last week. I think it was last week. I told you, right? I said, "Yo, Dealer put up a video on something, and it was something good. What he was talking about."
Yeah, it was good. It was about the Xbox One enhanced bug, which was not showing up on the list.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The external hard drive trick that you put up there, Dealer. It was really
right. So I really mess with your stuff. So. This is way before anybody. I don't tell people who I watch. So exactly.
Hollywood.
Now we know in Hollywood.
No, it's not.
I watch Dealer stuff, and I watch some General Marbles. So.
But your joint really worked. The video really worked. It was really informative. So I tweeted it out, and Cognito got back at me. He was like, "Yo, we might have him. Quiet as cat. We might have him. This Sunday." I said, "Shut the front door. You serious?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, he's like, Attic is, setting it up. I was like, you pulling my leg. I said, now the jokes has gone too far. But no, it's dead serious. So I'm like, I was so anticipating this, and it's like it's getting better and better, man. Every week, yo, soon.
No doubt,
Yeah,
man. We out here.
yes.
We out here, man. We
Let's-
salute.
Crazy.
Let me intervene real quick. No, kids,
Oh,
we did not
Lord.
beat Cuphead. look, he
Okay.
ain't even in here. He beat Cuphead. Like that blows my mind.
You out of control.
And don't blow
Anyway,
my mind.
it's been a fun week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about and stuff, and things going on. So let's first get into what the Lords are playing. So let's start off with Lord Dealer. What have you been touching this week on Xbox?
Oh man, I've been playing everything, literally everything. So as you guys know, we've had a rough time over here on Xbox for a little bit. Not too much to play. So yeah, I've been playing everything that's been coming out. Battlefront 2 looks absolutely
Nice.
phenomenal on the X. Wolfenstein 2, easily one of the best games of the last couple years. Looks absolutely phenomenal on the X.
Yes.
Forza Motorsport 7, I know life's on the S. I've gotten the Elite Trophy on every podium, so I 100% of Forza 7.
Wow.
Geez, what else? Assassin's Creed Origins, been losing my life to that. I can just, I don't know. It's so weird to have so much to play in such a short amount of time.
I know.
What else, man? Sheesh, everything.
That's a good library
everything
right
that's
there,
new,
man.
I got it, and I'm playing
Yeah,
it.
you playing it.
Hey, you say everything. Is Halo Wars 2 part of that?
Halo Wars 2 already beat like twice, so I haven't messed with Halo Wars 2, but I did play it, and it does look pretty good. I remember you saying someone said that, but it actually does look pretty good in 4K, pretty much ultra settings is what it looks like to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I played it at E3, and it wasn't really how it looked; it's how it played that I was impressed by. Because, Halo Wars 2 has a lot of frame rate issues, like when stuff's going down, like when it gets to the point where you're like, "Yo, I need help." That's when the frames go down. So, and when I was playing at E3 on the X, it wasn't dropping at all. Like you could have 30 Scorpions fighting each other, 20 Grizzlies all in the same battlefield, and it wasn't going nowhere.
Speaking of 30, we got about 32 people watching live. Guys, hit that like button. Help support the podcast.
Absolutely.
We appreciate
Much
it.
There we go.
appreciated.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. So my co-host, Lord Addict, what have you been playing this week?
I just got a PlayStation that I haven't played yet.
Yeah, you sent me a friend request. It kind of blew my mind yesterday. I said I got another friend. Oh my God.
You got an imposter.
I started. Okay, let me say this real quick. Like,
Make it quick.
Lord Kabatsu, I know that you're gonna get on to me for this, but I'm not feeling Persona. I'm sorry, but I'm
Shots
playing.
fired.
Like, it's not that it's a bad game; it just might not be for me.
Yes, it is what it is. It is what it is. Sometimes there's games like that, Sometimes games like that, no doubt. So what about on the X side? What have you been playing?
I don't have an X.
Oh, we don't. That's right. But I mean on the S side. Excuse me.
I haven't I was playing some Telltale games. That's about all.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he's like in the opposite universe of the rest of us right now.
Right.
This is going to be a very boring podcast.
He's in the upside down right now playing Atari. We're on the Xbox One.
Yo, he's in the upside down.
Hey, I'm pretty sure in Stranger Things, in the upside down world, I would still be playing the X friend. Okay, it would be a black X, but it would be an X.
Hey, that's the cool thing about the X, though, man. A lot of people don't give, there is one great thing that's come out of this cross, whatever the hell you want to call it, mutation of a iterative upgrade is you're not locked out of your friends anymore. You're not locked out of your games anymore. Your controllers, your headsets, everything just works. And if you don't want to play the X, if there's no point in saying, well, you shouldn't get one because it's an option, so nobody's forcing you to do so, and you can still play with Attic on his Atari, and we can play on the X, and
Hey, you need to give hold on. No, Dylan, you need to give a better analogy because I'm way too young to be playing guitar.
So, Lord Simon, what have you been playing, sir?
A lot of X stuff, man. Just going back and checking everything in the library. That kind of took up my entire week. Till I finally settled in, the last couple of days. Finally, just getting into Wolfenstein, some Shadow of War, and the Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed is taking me over yet again.
Wow,
So,
that 4K HDR goodness. That's what's up.
yeah, and on the Switch side, that pulled me away from Mario, but I picked up I put my money where my mouth is, and I picked
You
up
got that Doom?
Picked up that Doom.
At 30 frames? You good?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's people like you that's the reason they're going to get more third-party support.
hey, whatever it takes, gotta support. So,
I
yeah,
respect it.
it's Doom. The game is 100% intact. It is by far the ugliest version of that.
I mean,
game,
it definitely, you know,
Don't dock it. I heard. Don't.
You
dock
know
it,
what
so
else?
No, don't dock it.
portable.
Don't ever
Don't do
dock
that.
it. Ever. Don't dock it. Don't do that.
I mean,
What happens? What happens when you dock it?
It gets really soupy. Well,
It
it's
just
never,
explodes.
Yeah,
sends
it never-
apple across the house.
It never really hits that 720 anywhere. So, but it is a small miracle that game is on that system.
So let me ask you this real quick. Since you played it on the Switch, right? Let me ask you this. Do you think that it's fair that the Switch version of Doom is rated like higher than the PS4 or Xbox version?
Not at all. I mean, the portability means a lot to somebody who.
I mean, just because the portability don't mean nothing when it's having resolution that rivals some N64 games.
But I'm telling, not at all. The console versions blow that game away. Not even trying in terms of looks, in terms of speed. But again, like I said, it's a small miracle they got that game onto that system. And the fact.
Why do everybody sit there and say yay for the retarded kid? I'm so tired of that, man. Okay. Just the game is on the system.
Would you rather it not be on?
No. I'm just saying y'all gotta stop saying prefacing it like that. Okay, it's working on the game. The game is out. It's
I really hate that. When you have to start every conversation, well, it is Nintendo.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Just stated that it's the game out for the Nintendo, and it's a good-looking game for Nintendo. That's it.
No, but that's not a fair assessment to make either. It's for Nintendo. Why is it fair for Nintendo? That's not. Why would that be that? Why would I preface it with that? It's on a game-by-game basis.
Hey, but on a real note, let's move on because Nintendo is not on the clock.
Let's get out of this.
What you been playing, bro?
Okay, I gotta pay some bills right now. Shout out to Calvin W. that's in Texas for getting the King experience. Also Victor P. that's in North Carolina. Shout out to him for getting the King experience. They also receive Iron Lords podcast t-shirts with their loot crate that came with their Xbox One Elite situation. It was a good thing for them. I appreciate it.
The loot crates come with a list.
I put other stuff that was in there, but the t-shirts were in there as well because I also asked them.
T-shirts are fire, man. Those
Mine on podcast t-shirts fire, bro.
All right. Aside from that, anyway, I've been playing everything, guys. Literally to my 360. Shout out to Mirror's Edge because that
really nice, clean
game is clean, baby.
Shout out to the only time people are playing that game.
Yeah, this is true, but I've really got games on my list that I went back to play Titanfall.
Not to cut you. Lord Colbert is in the chat. Salute Lord Colbert. That's from the
Pixels.
Loaded with Pixels, baby. You know who that is. We love Lord Colbert. He's in the chat right now.
Marco,
Salute.
what's good, baby? Everybody hit that like button. Let's go hit that like. But it's actually everything. I played Titanfall 2 yesterday. I was blown away again. All the games that weren't up to snuff, I went back to check. I really didn't get a chance to get into my new catalog. I did play my Assassin's Creed though, but it's just so much. Lord Rand, thank you so much for putting me on to that Cactus game. It's an indie game. It's a twin stick shooter. It's Xbox enhanced. The game looks beautiful. It looks absolutely beautiful. Shout out to Lord Rand for putting that up yesterday.
Absolutely.
You have so much stuff to play. It is insane. The first time I think in video game history that I'm able to plug in my new system and it enhanced all my old games.
That's the only reason. I think that's the only reason you're getting a pass because Assassin's Creed just came out. You're like, time to play some Mirror's Edge. I think it's acceptable, seeing as that game at least runs in 4K or whatever.
It's just because somebody tweeted it out. Check out Mirror's Edge. I'm like, oh, really? I don't really want to do that. And then it's like, yo, check it out.
You know who said check it out? The person who made it, because no one else is playing.
Nice. Hey, man, check out Mirror's Edge, bro. I heard it's great. Whoever you are, Dice, I guess I will.
Salute the Mirror's Edge.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, man, I hear you. Look, it's pretty much in the same boat, man. It's just ever since I got it, it's just been going through the whole backlog, and I mean, even throughout Fallout 3 on just to see, because it popped up on my ready to install list, and just to see it just feels like a high-end PC port. It's so clean, all the new games. Man, I didn't go through everything just yet, but we'll get into on the topic, but as far as like our rankings, as far as where we feel certain these X titles are, but it's really beautiful to see some of these games in 4K. And shout out to HDR, man. Doesn't get enough credit. HDR is really a game changer in my opinion. So that's pretty much what I've been doing as far as just going through the catalog. So last week we had a poll, and the poll results are in, and the people have spoken to the question: with the Xbox One X launch, day one adopters, what is the first type of title you will launch on your shiny new X? The winner at 50% in a competitive three-way poll was that I'm playing the newer third-party titles first. So they agree with Lord Dealer. That's what they want to play first on their shiny new X. Coming in at second at 35% was the I'm playing older Xbox Enhanced titles group.
No.
And coming in at a fairly competitive third place at 15% was the forget games. I'm watching Blu-ray and Netflix and 4K HDR.
Oh, the hell with that.
Thanks to all the people who participated in last week's poll. Turnout was lit. What do the Lords think about that? Let's start with Lord Dealer. What do you think about the people? What they're saying?
I think all of them are right, because everyone's different. So if you want to watch fucking Netflix is the first thing you do on your X, and have at it, right? So I don't know, man. What I do know though is I kind of get tired of hearing people, yeah, what are you playing old games for, huh? Like, well, I do have a lot of old games. That's right. I do have like 400 games. Thanks for knowing that. But I also have Call of Duty, Wolfenstein, Assassin's Creed, Battlefront 2, and everything else that's coming out from now on that's going to be enhanced. And it's really weird. These people don't seem to understand that's really what people used the PS4 for the first couple of years. And now when the Pro came out, it didn't launch with any exclusives at all, but the X is getting hammered for it. And then you got Wolfenstein coming in at over 8 million pixels a lot of the time, according to Digital Foundry. They say they are surprised at how much it holds native 4K. You've got the Pro version at 3.6 million pixels, and they're saying, it does a little bit more. And this is a game that does not have a high-resolution texture pack, by the way. So there's been three games that launch on consoles so far that I know of, and I'm sure there's another one because, of course, Mafia 3, Tomb Raider, and, of course, Shadow of War. High-resolution Ultra HD texture packs make the difference, and these are games that are on both platforms. The Pro version does not have these. Right. And as I say in a video I'm releasing today, as a matter of fact, there are two of me. He'll release it around 11. My time. As I say today, these high-resolution texture packs this is the future. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be pushed by the X and PC. And the Pro is going to be left out in the cold there. It's going to be icicles and shit sticking off of it. Seriously. And people don't really think about this stuff. So not only do you have much more potential for an actual native 4K image, something that's really going to make that 4K TV shine, but those are extra pixels that they could take and put into effects in the future as games get more demanding. That RAM is going to allow for high-resolution textures, and I don't remember why I'm even talking about this. So I'm going to get back to the point and say that people aren't giving this thing enough credit. People aren't really thinking hard enough. They're testing games that aren't even patched. It's insane. You got a lot of opinions out there from people that don't know what they're talking about, and they're downplaying the system while they touted the Pro a year ago. So absolutely ridiculous to me. But back to your question.
I feel what you're coming from.
Hey, first, third party, everything's gonna look great on this thing. Gears of War 4, absolutely astounding in 1080p, 60 frames per second. What looks like to me ultra settings. I've seen it at ultra several times on the PC. That's what it looks like. And that 60 is fairly locked over 90% of the time. I mean, people like to pick one screenshot out and say, "Oh, look, it runs at 40 frames." No, it's locked most of the time, and it feels like it too. Even in Horde mode, it feels pretty good. So,
I gotta try Horde. I gotta get that shot.
Witcher 3, last game I want to mention. When this game gets patched, it will be one of the best looking games on the console.
Now, let me ask you this question, Deal, in reference to Witcher 3 specifically. Do you think now that it's coming out right now, the reports are unpatched, at 60 frames, do you think they're going to maintain the 60, or do you think they'll do or give us the option as far as like performance modes and stuff like that?
Witcher 3,
fidelity modes.
For those that didn't know,
happens when it's patched.
Yeah, Witcher 3, they tested Witcher 3 unpatched. So they went out and got a disc version, then they unplugged the Xbox from the internet, they put it in. The X automatically ramped the frame rate up because the launch version was no cap frame rate, right? Several games do this, right? City Skylines is now 60 frames. Spin Tire's Blood Runner is now locked 60 frames. A lot of games do this, and it's automatic. So Witcher 3 benefited. It did hit 60 frames in combat, but of course, as I've said several times in the past, in the city, you've got geometry complexity, you've got a lot of AI simulation, things like that. The CPU becomes a bottleneck. The frame rate does fall to around 40, 45 frames per second. So we know it's possible to at least hit 60 while you're out in the wild doing side missions where a lot of people spend their time in Witcher. I would love for that to be a patch, a part of the patch. 60 frames per second in Witcher 3. It is not a GPU problem. They could optimize. Keep in mind the numbers before them, which were unoptimized numbers, right? They just threw the game in. The game had no clue the X was even being made when it was made. It just works. And I think
that's just a natural performance of the X doing it.
I think it's possible, man. I think we could get that, but I think CD Projekt Red are afraid of people saying, "Oh, the game runs like trash," just like they did with Gears. Fanboys are to blame if we don't get it ultimately, because they're going to see frames per second.
We got to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the official patch does come out. But it is impressive what is being done now. So let's get into these topics for the round table. We got my man Lord Addict up, and somebody's respawning, right? What's going on? Respawn out here.
No one's technically respawning, but a company called Respawn got bought. So EA, for some reason, could someone tell me? Did you think that Respawn was worth $400 million? Like.
Yeah, based on the price getting jacked up by that what is it, that Chinese company?
The other company that wanted to jump in and buy it. Yeah, and what happened was they had to match the number because they didn't want them to go. So
man, I hit them for $455 million.
I would have hit that up. That I mean, it's probably illegal as hell, but I would be like, "Yo, say like 600 million. We'll slide you $100 million, because we know EA gonna match it."
I'm pretty sure that's close.
Oh, that's definitely illegal. That's inside trading. But like my thing is like, I just don't. It got bought for $400 million by EA. Do you guys think that they bought that because they want to keep that brand, or do you guys think they bought that because they don't want the competition getting that brand?
That's a good question. Let's get Dealer in on this. Let's get his feedback.
Oh man, I've talked so much already. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of potential there with Respawn. Anyone can see that. Titanfall came out. It sold 10 million plus. Titanfall 2 just reviewed extremely well. Got some 9.75s. They know they've got grade A talent there. And they're working with Source Engine. They're working with old tech and doing their thing, and they've just come out with a phenom, all out on their own. They were an independent company, and they did what they did. EA sees this, and they know they can use that team for other IPs and other projects. Titanfall 2, EA, this is all EA's fault, by the way. Titanfall 2 didn't do what they wanted. They competed with themselves. Let's bring it out on Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty. They could have pushed it back to February, March, and just dominated.
Yeah, we went on that. It was one of the dumbest release dates ever.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. Yeah, it was stupid.
Absolutely.
If that would have came out in March like the original one, it would have dominated.
Well, it would have did better than what it actually did. I think actually it's going to be an uptake since I feel that this X is giving GameStop a resurgence. A lot of people is going to go and pick the game up, for $12, $9, whatever you can get it for, and to see the enhancements of it, to actually see the game in its good form on the X. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to go back up.
Quick question: do you guys think that Titanfall is a holiday game if it's not competing with Battlefield?
No. It's a springtime summer game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree, but I was just saying, do you think if Battlefield wasn't there and it just competed, came out enough time to breathe from Call of Duty, do you think it would have had a better sales?
It would have done better, absolutely. It would have done better. It just again, but Battlefield, the name alone just crushed it.
Yeah,
Not to mention it was a good Battlefield. That's what hurt it. It was a good Battlefield.
Battlefield was an era that had never been touched before. Like, there was a lot going for Battlefield at that point.
It was too similar to Call of Duty Infinite Jetpacks or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I agree. And ultimately, the first Titanfall, didn't release in like a March, almost like a spring kind of a window. I always felt like that was a good place for it. So this way, it's away from everything and get a chance to breathe. You're away from the whole November holiday COD and all the other games that tend to get packed in that holiday season. So, yeah, I think it would have been smarter to kind of push it back to that next year. So, yeah, to your question, that was definitely a mistake on that part. To put it that way. Mm-hmm. So, anyone else got anything on Respawn?
Oh well, I think that EA purchased them. Didn't they close down another studio a week before?
Down Visceral. They just closed down Visceral.
All right.
That's what makes you worry about this, because they're good at acquiring studios and closing them. But Visceral is a different type of beast. Visceral is more single player type games, like the Dead Space and stuff. That's what they were making. So
I mean, but let's take on Respawn. I feel like Respawn's put better quality out there than Visual Studios was, though.
And that's why I think they let this studio go to acquire this studio. They sat there and was looking at it, and in their space, it's not apples and oranges. They're looking at them for exactly who they are, who performs well in this area, and who they should back money behind. If I'm backing money behind either one of those studios, it's actually going to be Respawn. It's not going to be Visceral. So
it's going to be if you pick up Respawn, you're looking at the founders of Infinity War. You're looking at the exactly Modern Warfare. So it's one of those things and they lean into what EA is leaning into now. Like they're moving away from these single player games that they can't monetize continuously. They already have a winning formula in what Titanfall does. They know they have the talent to create other IP that can lean into that monetization thing. So they're perfect. They're perfect. Again, we don't know. Maybe in a couple of months they shut them down and do something with them.
How much you guys want to bet Titanfall 3 got loot crates?
It's funny.
It's worth noting that Visceral employees. Sorry, I think it was a little lag, brother. My bad. I was just gonna say it's worth noting that Visceral employees they didn't just get fired and go home, right? These guys got absorbed into other EA studios.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
you still see those guys just in other studios.
Yeah.
No, good point. And until Lord Addict's question is as far as the whole loot crate thing, I think that it's kind of funny because philosophically Vincent Pella is against that. Like they were so. If you remember during Titanfall 1's launch.
I don't think he's going to stay with the company.
We're going to see, because that's a key thing for them. They're also about not splitting up the player base and stuff like that with the DLC pack. Because I believe in Titanfall 2, all the DLC was the map packs were kind of free.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting now them seeing if they're going to bump heads with EA and the execs up against the wall, because we know EA trying to get them loot crates on. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to get Battlefront out here. You see a lot of these, this revenue that's out there to be taken. So it's funny to see what's going to happen with Titanfall.
Lord Cognito, 400 million dictates loot crates will be in the box. So that's enough.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to take a seat down and be quiet.
Someone in the comment section made up a good question. Do you think Microsoft should have tried to buy them?
No. To buy Visceral? No.
After putting out a multi-platform game, they would have gotten the same hate that they got with Tomb Raider. If they had bought them immediately after Titanfall 1, I would have understood. After Titanfall 2, no, because you're gonna get hate across the board saying that you're taking away another multi-platform game, put it on a quote-unquote console.
We wasn't talking about Respawn.
But he's talking about Visceral specifically.
He's talking about Visceral.
Visceral. No, I'm sorry. Visceral would have worked perfectly. To me, Visceral would have worked perfectly.
I don't think so. I don't think that's a company Microsoft should look at. Actually, Microsoft's first company they should look at is the Cuphead makers. That's the first company.
Do you think Dead Space being exclusive could have had an impact?
You know something? Yes. But fitting into what Phil and these guys is talking about as far as single player, and I'm pretty sure they're trying to get all the single player experience over the Game Pass to make Game Pass super viable, like the same way they putting episodes of Hitman on it. I don't think they fit unless they're gonna make them just a Game Pass exclusive company. So I really don't think so. It just doesn't fit. The same way that Microsoft brought Rare, that didn't make any sense. They're not into the business of acquiring.
It made sense if they forced them to make Connect games in the beginning. That nobody
Well, the reason they bought Rare is because they were trying to launch the 360.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The 360 launched with a bunch of Rare games.
Yeah, me ultimately, I mean, if the opportunity is there, I always want Microsoft to purchase studios. That's a fact. But in reference to the whole Respawn thing, which Sovereign is answering, it's one of those things. I'm torn because this was under their umbrella initially with Titanfall 1. I'm kind of upset that it kind of went multi-plat the second one, and then obviously we've seen what happened with the results of it. So my main concern is hopefully that they don't get swept under the rug in the the whole EA umbrella. And I wonder maybe if the asking price was a little bit too rich for Microsoft's blood. I mean, obviously you had that Korean company vying for this.
It was probably too rich for EA's blood, but if they didn't do it, they were going to lose the company. So
they were going to lose it. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I'm not about studios closing, so I like the fact that they will continue on, and we'll see what happens with the future of Titanfall 3. So if everyone's got done with Respawn, we're going to move on. And speaking of our friends at EA, again, so they just made a comment. Our good friend Andrew Wilson, fan of the show. We met him at E3, me and Lord Attic, and he actually made a comment. He made some comments to Bloomberg in references, to sports games as a service, and they're saying that they're looking to expand that globally. They kind of said that in Korea and China, they have their core sports games like FIFA with regular updates, and they provide like code drops every 4 years instead of an annual release kind of a deal. So I wanted to bring this to the round table with the Lords. What do we feel about the potential of sports games as a service? And is this the future? That's something that we want as far as the subscription model. So anybody can jump in on this.
I think from the decline in the sports games, now everybody wants to say that the sports games is boosted from year to year. I can't tell you when the last time I brought a Madden. I did try that Long Yard episode crap that they got there, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. But would I purchase a Madden for it? No. The 2K, I like the little neighborhood thing. Would I purchase a 2K for it? No. But would I buy a subscription service to their sports titles that allows me to play all those games at a cheap price like how EA does with their EA Access? Yes, of course. I'll be down for that. So I can touch at my leisure. I don't feel like I have to be locked into a game. So I think it's a great thing. I think games as a service is a great thing in general.
Okay, all right. Well, let me bring this Lord Solve because he's my resident sports guy. Every now and then we used to buy, the MLB games and stuff like that. So I'm curious about your perspective on this, Lord Solve. What do you feel? Sports
I absolutely think they need to go. Everybody who makes a sports game on any console should go this route. It's been 4 years since I purchased an MLB The Show game, which I used to purchase on a yearly basis, and these guys have 8 months to turn over a game every single year, and
development cycles are short. Yeah.
It's admirable the amount of improvements they make to these games in that short amount of time, but I still don't think it's worth a $60 upgrade every single year. Unless you're a person that's deep into playing like the season modes and the franchise modes and stuff, you're not gonna see the improvements right off the bat. Like, you really have to play day in and day out to see, they added this animation. They added this. Like, it's a tough sell. For me, you create a base game every couple of 4 years, 3-4 years, maybe 5 years. And you just expand on that every year. Give me a $30 upgrade pack with new rosters, some new animations, stuff like that. $30 for even $40. Something that is not, you're not trying to sell to me as a full $60 game. And I'd be in every single year. It doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. And the thing is, as long as we keep supporting it, 2K sells in the top of the charts every single year. The show sells well every single year. Right. So, I mean, it's going to continue to happen, but they definitely need to get away from that because to the
best of my knowledge, EA has been doing this same thing with that NBA Live. It seems like every week they are giving you updates, which is actually physically changing the player. So, like, if it's a player gets a haircut or grows a beard or something like that, they are actually implementing that in the game on a patch-to-patch basis. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is the first game that they've had in a couple of years that's quality enough that people are sticking with it and actually playing with it. So this is the perfect test bed for them, where they're going to say, okay, we're going to follow this model and see how it works for this game. And that's fantastic. Me as a big baseball head, I would love things like that, where you see a guy get a different haircut in the middle of the season and all of a sudden the roster update does that. Like, that's fantastic. That would be great.
Yeah.
And in terms of what you said about the entire games as a service, in terms of having entire backlogs, absolutely. That would be fantastic, just to be able to access MVP 2005.
I was just about to ask you that,
I
was just about to ask you that, because that is considered one of the marquee baseball games of all time, as well as NFL. What is it? 2K5. I forgot which one it was. Which one was the ESPN one before Madden took the license officially?
2K5. I think it's 2K5.
Yeah, and those two engines right there are considered respectively the greatest sports engines of their sport. So I'd imagine if those had iterative updates, and roster changes, stuff like that, would that be something you'd be willing to play a subscription model for?
Absolutely. I've been saying it all along. Once Phil made it clear that they weren't going to go back into their baseball license, at least not anytime soon. So I was like, well, EA Access, bring over a version of MVP 2005. If you look at the PC following in that game, every single year you have people, enthusiasts, who make roster updates for that game to play in-engine on the PC. I mean, and these people are the detail and the work that they put into these roster updates for a game that came out in 2005. It's crazy, but there goes the passion for that game and that engine. Putting it on the console, especially for a console that doesn't have a baseball game, aside from RBI, whatever, and that doesn't count. It would be fantastic. It would be fantastic. I think sports games need to go that route regardless. They just do.
Yeah. Let's get our non-sports guy, Lord Addict. Let's see what his position is on this. I'm curious.
I'm not a sports guy. Pass.
You got to come. I ain't let you up. Do you just think the practice in itself, as far as like annualized sports games, now possibly change into this? Is it something that you would be, you'd be approved? You would approve it, or
they
just
give me that shit for free and I still wouldn't download it?
Yes, we know you won't play. We understand that. The question is, which practice do you prefer?
I mean, they do. I mean, look at Call of Duty. They yearlize a bunch of different shit every year. So I mean, the fact that sports do it doesn't surprise me. I think maybe they should go towards like, a Killer Instinct mode where at seasons maybe. Like,
that's nice. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't do sports. Like, I couldn't really tell you what's a good way to do it, what's a bad way to do it. Like,
so pretty much, you're not opposed though. You're not opposed to them actually changing this model to something.
I mean, you know what I am opposed for? I feel like EA shouldn't waste their conference every year on sports, but that's just me.
Terrible. Yeah.
Moving along.
Don't bring it up today anymore. Don't do that anymore.
That's what Attic goes. That's what he's Lord sleep at that conference. When EA starts talking sports. Lord Dealer, what do you feel about this whole sports game as a service thing?
Not into sports games myself, unless it's like fight night. They need another fight.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's a fact. Get rid of this USC trash. It doesn't work well on a controller. And get Fight Night back in there. It's a much better time on a controller. So sports games, it depends on what they're trying to charge every month. If it's $5, $10 a month maximum, what are they trying to charge? That's the question, right?
That is a good question.
Because if you buy 2 sports games a year, then $10 a month maybe isn't a bad deal, because you're getting exactly what you pay for throughout the year. Right. But if you just buy Madden, I don't know, then it's like, hey, it's nice that I got a shinier helmet through this update. I'm paying monthly for now, which is basically all they do with sports games anyway. Now
I do want to say that if they start charging for stuff like that, do you guys think that their microtransactions will continue? Like,
it will. It's gonna get crazy.
They walk away from that Ultimate Team and them. They not walking away from that.
Man, my friend Tyler, man, he put some serious money on Ultimate Teams. Like,
he's not the only one that does that stuff, man. 2K with that VC crap. These guys are crazy in these streets.
So you gotta thank Tyler for powering those microtransactions.
Absolutely.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to Tyler, baby. Keeping the lights on, Andrew. You know what I'm saying?
Keeping
Like that,
the
big
revenue
life.
up for 2K. You know, you were part of that 42% revenue last quarter.
He's not keeping. He's not keeping the lights on. He's putting BMWs in all the executives' parking lots.
Power the yacht right now.
That's the tequila.
Look, King, you want to jump in on something real quick before we move on?
Oh no, I just Dilla just gave me an epiphany. I'm going to go put Fight Night on my Xbox.
You'll see what's going on.
I want to see what it looked like. I want to see what it looked like on this X. I want to see what's going on.
It's kind of funny. Older games do look better, man. You notice that 16 times texture filtering instantly. You see the cracks and stuff in the ground you never saw before.
Yep.
The detail in the ground. The Witcher 3, this helps Witcher a lot. Plus, that game's already dynamic resolution. So you get a straight 1080p with better texture filtering and stuff. It looks really good. State of Decay doesn't run like trash anymore. Once you load that
it
into
ran
the RAM.
pretty bad even on the X.
I mean
even on the
initially it
Xbox
does. You
One.
got to spin the camera around a few times, load the world into RAM, and once it does that, it's pretty decent, man.
I think the worst part about State of Decay is just like the physics, like the weird physics that game got. Like you'll be driving like 15 and you'll hit a rock and do 2 flips.
You gotta keep it exciting, man. So State of Decay 1, absolutely the best zombie game of all time. 2, it should be phenomenal, man.
Yeah, I'm hyped for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, just finishing up this EA topics. I don't want to bore Dealer and Addict to death.
I was bored the moment you brought the topic up.
I know. You're suffering. You take one for the team right now. We appreciate it at the round table. Yeah, I'm with Saab on this 1,000. You know, I think this is something that needed to happen. You know, it was long overdue. You know, the updates were just too incremental as far as the dev cycle. And I'm always a fan of being able to miss something, right? Like I always had that problem with annualized franchises. Like how much dev time, how much change can you really make? And these games are, becoming more expensive. So it's like, this is something I would definitely look forward to. But I do agree with Dealer in the sense that, they have to be mindful of what this price is going to be. Because if they're charging something like, $10, $15 a month, I don't know, Now, EA is in the right position because they've kind of tested this whole service thing out with EA Access, right? They were the first to kind of like pioneer that whole movement. So it'll be interesting to see when this goes into effect. I know Korea and those markets already do it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind taking about 2-3 years off of Madden. All these other
I think they might make a premium tier of EA because it makes sense to group them with the service and the subscriber numbers for not only to make it look better for their investors, but it just makes sense to make this part of EA Access somehow. EA Access Sports Pass, it's $8 a month instead of $5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You completely read my mind, dealer. And I think that's my guess. That's my guess where I think they're going because again, they were the first to pioneer that. Good at it.
I think a good way to probably do would be it's like Sling TV, how you can like buy your packages. It's like, if you want this a game, it's like you bring up the app and you just click what games you actually play because some people are going to subscribe to the service. It was like, I don't care about FIFA. Like, I don't want to pay for a whole service for FIFA.
No, that's real talk. That's real talk. And a lot of people, let's be honest. I mean, for us sports guys, a lot of it, and Lord King will tell you, we just want the next year because our man got traded to another team.
Oh,
so
yes, of course.
In that jersey. Let's just keep it a buck. Like that's really why a lot of reason why we're doing it. So if you're giving us these incremental patches and updates and you're putting the rosters on correctly and everyone's got the correct hairstyle, trust me, people would subscribe into that. The key is just that price range. And like I said, if they came up with something like Dealer was saying, almost like a EA Access Sports tier, $3 a month, I'm in.
I think what they should do is do like a premium EA Access thing where all the games that are released are free in EA Access for, let's say, the $10.99 a month, whatever the price Netflix is a month, and you get to play all the stuff that they release throughout the year for that for the premium price. I'm down for that. I pay the $10.99. I don't really care because I got to pick up that Need for Speed, and I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play the Need for Speed. I'm gonna get halfway in the middle of it, and I'm gonna get disinterested and go play something else. But if I had it as the subscription, I can play all that stuff that comes out every other month. EA puts out a game every other month, and I'll be down for that. But they get more revenue from that service. And
shout out to Lord. They go in the chat. He said, I don't care what hairstyle virtual men got. I'm done. Continue.
But I'm down for that. I want them to change up the model because I really don't think EA Access is as big as it could be.
Yeah, shout out. So let's see. We'll see what happens. And,
I feel like if they would do something like that, all their games a year, it'd be something like $20 a month. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
they would want at least a
return.
good portion of that money from one game.
It's like 1/3 of the money they would have potentially got from you. You're just gonna, you're probably not even gonna play the whole game, but most people are probably gonna beat it in the first week, and they're gonna unsubscribe. And they just paid $20 for a new game.
That's a good point.
So they got things to figure out and things to think about. That's for sure.
Well,
correct.
The way they could do it is, I think, what's that WWE Network? Like, my friend, he subscribed to that, and at first you had to subscribe for 6 months. It was like a contract, like, you had to. So I guess they could go down that direction.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
they release a new game like the 7th month.
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a
Get you right back in the mix.
Kind of like a Forza Ultimate Edition car pack. Like, yeah, you get 6 months of car packs, and it's all trucks. It's ridiculous for 6 months, and on the 7th month, it's like, here's some good stuff. You might want to buy that.
No, the hustles would be legendary. And on that note, we're gonna move on. Lord King, the Beast has released. Let's talk about it, baby.
All right. So in the aftermath of Xbox One X hitting these streets, now a lot of the Lords got a chance to go to E3 this year, and we went to E3. Trust me, these games did not look like this when we touched them.
Facts.
Okay, so now that we got a chance to get the Beast inside,
that's how you know these patches are really doing work.
And it's living up to its expectations and far exceeding what Phil Spencer said. My question is to everyone: what happens now? How does the rhetoric change? What happens with Sony? How do they scramble? Do they look at the numbers? Do they see things? Where do we go as a gaming group, conglomerate actually? How do we move forward, and where do we go? Where do we see it going once this beast is out in the streets, which is changing our old games and new games to look better and run better? This is first time this has ever happened, so I want to know, where do we see this going?
I mean, you know what I can see going? I see those pros going to GameStop to buy the X.
Yo, you savage. That was savage. Oh no, man, this is a good one. I mean, guys, so I'll let you jump because I know you want to jump in on this too.
I think they're gonna lean into whatever their messaging has been till now. They're gonna keep leaning into the game stuff. So we have the games, they don't have the games, and it's gonna keep saying that, and that's and it's gonna work for a lot of people. To be perfectly honest, on us, they don't really care about those upgrades and whatnot. We're different. Like we're always.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this because it kind of bleeds into something I was going to ask in reference to this topic, which is, what's that joint? Lord King with Trav, be like, I'm restoring the feeling.
Yeah, the Trav.
Like, a lot of this is just what I see. There's a perception of at launch of the launch week of the X, is that it's almost like a feel good feeling. It's almost like a, dare we say, the honeymoon phase, where it's like I'm seeing a lot of people who are on the fence or extremely skeptical. They're seeing what's going on. They're seeing the Digital Foundry reports. And now, am I saying that this is, represents the majority? No, this is probably a small vacuum. But at the same time, there is a sense that, okay, this is the right one, right? This is the system that we should have got, kind of deal. So do you think that kind of plays into this whole thing with Sony as far as them trying to be more aggressive? What they have PSX coming and stuff like that. Like, what do you think that whole vibe plays into this, Lord Saul?
I mean, absolutely. I think they finally, it finally feels to the people who are big Sony supporters that this is real competition now. This is a console that they have to worry about in that regard, because if you're looking at PlayStation not releasing a new console, let's say in 2 years, right? So they have to deal with 2 years of Digital Foundry breakdowns saying that the Xbox One X version,
Richard Ledbetter,
exactly,
your pixels and that beautiful British voice.
2 years, week in, week out, hearing about how the most powerful version of your system still can't compare to the X is not going to sit well with them. So again, that's why I said they're going to lean into the game stuff, right? I already heard that there are rumors at PSX they're going to be announcing a new Devil May Cry and a new Soul Calibur there, which are both games that are multi-platform and will probably look better on the X. But the fact that they have it on their stage,
you definitely have a point there. Like the better version on the X completely hurts marketing. It really does.
Right.
I mean, we found out
stage.
Destiny so late that their version was coming out. You know, as far
Exactly.
as
So they're going to keep leaning into the game stuff, and if I were them, I would, because they have a lot of single player stuff. They have a lot of stuff that's only for them. As of now, we know that Phil said they're doubling down on that, and I expect to hear more of that in 2018. But as of now, we don't have quote unquote we don't have anything. Well, you know.
Shout out to the saltiest gamer. What's going on, baby?
In the building, baby. Let's go. That's my guy right there. Lord, Xbox 448 for the people.
Oh, that's my
on,
dude,
baby. That's my dude. Let's get Lord Dealer in here, man. Aftermath of the Xbox One X launch. What do you think's going on in these streets? What do you feel is happening?
What I feel is that Sony better change that slogan, "The best place to play," because that's not true anymore. Especially and Sony, they've had phenomenal third-party support. We all know this. It's been their saving grace, if you want to put it that way. They actually had a very similar amount of first-party titles this year to Microsoft, but it's all third-party stuff propping them up. Hellblade and all this other stuff, and that's great. But people get it mixed. They are not investing more into games than Microsoft. They just aren't, and the fact that they have the same amount of first-party stuff is kind of proof to that. So we'll have to see what they do in the future. But Microsoft re-announcing that, hey, we're reinvesting $1 billion into games. This is the second time they said this in the past 8 months. The media finally picked up on it. This is good news. I don't think there's anything. Hang on, my neighbors decide that it's time to bang on the wall with a hammer. Okay, right. They do this. They're like, it's Sunday at 12 o'clock. Let's bang on a hammer.
It's a PlayStation fanboys telling you to shut up.
Yeah, so it's pretty ridiculous. So with the X, man, you're just gonna see easily the best third party. There's no accidentally having the best version on PlayStation right now. It's kind of funny because half a teraflop was the end of the world before. You had 900 to 1080. Now that you literally have 4 more million pixels on the X, kind of just on games that they've just ported in a few days. Some of these are first party or marketing deal games too with Sony. They're still getting destroyed. You got to keep in mind that's a lot of extra headway there. And they're able to use it. And if they don't, or if they have a game that's parity, or if they have a game that's worse, then that's all on the developer. There's absolutely no reason every title shouldn't completely be better in every single way on the X.
Absolutely.
And Sony have to deal with that for, like you said, another couple years. How are they going to do it? We don't know, but change that slogan. That's for sure.
Lord Dealer, it's kind of interesting because we talked about this on the ILP before, and I think that one thing that Microsoft's not getting enough credit in the way they handle this is that they gave that reveal of the X Digital Foundry, and I thought that was genius because they basically the voice of the generation as far as the comparison and what people go to see as far as resolution gate and all these things. So if you give it to your biggest critic, it's in the product, but it also shows now from this point moving forward, when those comparison videos come out, I mean, let's make no mistake, Digital Foundry is eating off of this. Like they are eating off of this, but this is ultimately benefiting Microsoft almost in the terms of free marketing, right?
Yeah, turn your biggest critic into one of your biggest allies. They know Digital Foundry can't say, well, it's only 5 million more pixels. They're not those types of people. They realize that performance is performance, and this is a lot of extra, kind of headway here. On games that don't even have 4K texture assets like Shadow of War and stuff like that. So you saw the Shadow of War video. That was the end of the world. This is going to be commonplace over the next few years. More games are going to do this. So turn all your critics into your allies. That's exactly what they did with the review units. People were mad because certain people didn't get free Xbox.
I'm so glad you said that, Dealer. I am so glad you said that.
It's just strategy, guys. You got to get free advertising out there. Turn your critics into your allies.
Thank you, my man. Lord Attic, where we at with this? What's the aftermath? Like, based on what you're feeling now that the X is out. I know you don't got one just yet, but based on the temperature in these streets, like, what are you feeling? What's going on, Lord Attic? Besides sleeping. We'll get back to learn that. He's on us.
He went into the booth and came out.
Oh, Lord King is all over right now. But seriously, I mean, this is something, honestly, it's just like, it's really good to see. I know some people are mentioning it may be a honeymoon phase, but at the end of the day, I mean, just seeing what the X is capable of, and like I said, just going into your entire life. Xbox, they put Z's in the chat. They stupid. Saying is that, as far as the what's going on with the library.
He really hang on. I gotta say something here. He really fall asleep when he playing.
Right? We played an inside joke, Lord Dealer. We called us. He worked.
I thought motherfucker popped some Ambien or something.
Lord King goes with Lord Sleep, and the whole chat, whenever it happens, it's hilarious. So right now they're going in. But he probably stepped away, but it's all good. But back to what I was saying. It's really good to see. And it's going to be interesting to see what Sony does moving forward, because I can definitely see, the tide changing as far as the comparisons, as far as all that good stuff. But what I wanted to now ask next, in reference to the launch of the Beast, is now that these games are out and everyone's testing them and playing them, let's start with Lord D. Like, what's your top 3 games right now as far as showcasing? You know what I mean? Like, as far as the X, like, what's the top 3 that really impressed you, whether it be third party or first party? Like,
I would say, and this kind of feeds into what some reviewers are saying too. People saying they're not impressed. Well, you're not impressed with PC gaming. If you're playing Gears of War and you're not impressed.
Yep.
Because, like I said, I have that game on PC. I played it at ultra settings. That's pretty much high ultra setting hybrid right there. That is PC visuals, and playing that and seeing it at 60 frames was one of the points where you realize that, okay, this is different. This is next level, and not only does it benefit 4K owners or whatever TV you have, 1080p guys get this because you get all the settings plus 60 frames. It's awesome. So Gears is definitely something you got to see. By the way, people messaging me about that. The toggle for the frame rate performance mode is not available in game on Gears. So you have to do that in the main menu. You have to push start where you're at the main menu and go and do enhance the visuals or whatever and do it there. So Gears is definitely one. Seeing Battlefront 2 is next level, 60 frames. There's so many. Assassin's Creed has things about it that are going to blow your mind. Wolfenstein, I cheated a little bit, but you got to check those games out.
Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. And I'm glad you made that point in reference to super sampling. Shout out to Lone Anchor Man in the chat, because there's a lot of people that are actually upset with Microsoft because they don't feel that they've done a good enough job of really promoting it. As far as, they have said, you still get benefits, you have a 1080p, but there's something to be said about the visual. Shout out to my man John Linneman from Digital Foundry. He had something up with Wolfenstein and showing it in 1080p super sampling, almost like a before and after. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are posting pictures, and I'm like, damn, that looks good. What in 4K? And they're like, no, bro, this is not 4K. This is my 1080p TV with super sampling. So that's something that really is not being stressed enough that you will still see.
I talked to Phil Spencer. I was in a party with him. I told him that this is something I'm getting in my comment section. People saying I have a 1080p TV. This is not going to benefit me. It's a developer by developer basis, obviously. With Gears, you get 60 frames. I told him that somehow you got to portray that these games are getting settings boosts as well. So Tomb Raider, you're getting much higher quality settings. Gears, you're getting all the bells and whistles. Wolfenstein, you're getting, I think, a better setting or two. But also, I've always said that with Xbox guys, this upgrade is a little more valuable because you've been playing some games at 720p. And you're getting minimum double the 2 million pixels instead of 7 to 900,000 pixels. And that's going to bring out the detail that's already there. So it's going to look like some graphic settings have been added when they in fact haven't.
Correct.
And that, like I said, and then you upgrade to a 4K TV and you get another bump. And then developers are going to start figuring out, hey, let's add some more modes. Let's play around on top of the things we're already doing. So, it's a good value no matter how you want to cut it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, you make, again, some more great points. In fact, people are not realizing that with the S, a lot of these games, weren't hitting 1080p. A lot of them were 729 or 900p, advancing resolution. So just off of that alone, without even the super sampling, they're getting the way the games were supposed to be intended. But enough for me going. Let's get Sov and Lord King in as far as the your rankings, as far as what you've touched. And, Sov, what do you feel like? What's your top 3 right now as far as showcasing?
I think 3 is too few. Too few to be able to talk about.
All right, go for it. We're making it tough, though.
I started out,
So let's do this. Let's do top 3 and then
honorable mention.
one of your low key sleepers.
Okay,
Honorable
so
mentions. Let's do that.
my top 3, like Dila said, Gears Gears in high performance mode with 60 frames per second. I think any one of these X games, once you put on the 60 frames per second and you have either high res textures or just straight 4K or getting close to 4K dynamic resolution, those are the ones that are the biggest jump that you really see. Like wow, like this is a big jump. So for me, 4K Gears of War is a revelation. Rise of the Tomb Raider. Absolutely insane.
Let's do that on this morning too.
But again, the performance mode, like the true 4K mode is nice. It's very shiny. But when you put on the high quality mode with the 60 frames per second, that is absolutely the way that game is meant to be played.
And you get those 4K assets in every mode in that game too.
And that's the thing. The 4K assets are so huge because the game pops that much more. And then it has to be. Hitman looks fantastic to me, but Forza.
Hitman
I don't even own Forza. Off the demo alone, Forza just has me going in. Forza's sick. Yes. Forza's really sick. And so after beyond those top 3, Halo 5 looks like it's just it runs perfectly now. And it looks insane. So. It is the best kind of overall use of the power of the X and the fact that it can be applied in so many different ways. The game runs beautifully. You say what you want about the game proper, but especially single player campaign. But but the game is beautiful. That Hitman. Oh my God! In high performance mode, 60 frames per second.
Square. Yeah, bro. I didn't expect that. That one surprised me. I think it was I forgot who told me to download it. Was it you, B?
Yes,
sir. Man. I was just like blown away for it. But yeah, that's a good one. That was your honorable mention or no?
Definitely the Hitman. Was there something else that really caught my eye? Oh, and Assassin's Creed. There are things in that game. There are moments when the sun is shining in the middle of the desert. The game is beautiful as it is, but there's certain moments that really take you aback. That game is fantastic. One game that is a little disappointment to me. Mafia 3. Mafia 3 has HDR and 4K.
I got a disappointment for y'all too, guys. Really?
Mafia not a good look? The lighting engine in the game was always screwed. And I was hoping that with the HDR enhancements, it's just it looks soupy to me. Like that, it just doesn't work. I was hoping that the DLC stuff might help with all the added like season pass stuff, because I was thinking that game you can access that stuff outside of the main game, and maybe they had worked on it separately from the main game, but they didn't. It's all accessible within the main game, so it's all the same engine, all the same lighting, and not great.
Lord King, give me those top 3 out of everything you played.
Oh man,
I know it's hard.
Yeah, it's gonna sound like I'm a super fanboy right now, but my top 3 is first party games. It's Gears. You can't unsee Gears once you see it. It's like, this is where because my kids were in the house when I put it on and I put Gears on, and they realized that it was something different going on the TV.
What's this?
Yeah, because my son was like, "Daddy, what happened? It looks incredible. What's going on?" I said, "That's the X, baby." I said, "It's here. It's showtime."
That's the X, baby. He put a little slur on it too.
He like, "Woo, let's do this." So it's that. I fought with this because really it was Halo 5 was my first. Yeah, but that HDR on that Gears, Halo 5 is second. I'm so happy because I was a real fan of Halo 5 when people was dogging it or whatever. I love the story. I love the multiplayer, whatever. It's a beautiful game. It plays beautiful. 343 doesn't get enough credit. The story actually was engrossing to me. I loved it. So I'm gonna play it again. And if anybody didn't play it, hey, go get the game. It's cheap. It's cheap right now. I'm here. I'll play it.
It's also in Game Pass. So
yeah. Hey, go get Game Pass. You have no excuse. Let's do it.
Get it.
Also, Forza. I was not buying this game. All right, I played it at E3. I walked away actually like it's another Forza, another year, whatever. Basically that's it. I was like, whatever. Let's not give a shout out to the TVs at E3 that was displaying these games. I don't. Honestly, Lord Cognito, I really don't think it was the TVs. I really think
it was optimization.
They weren't ready.
I don't think the patches are out at E3.
They weren't.
Let's look at terms.
They weren't. I really don't think they were ready because if Lord Adder can attest to this, these games weren't moving. Well, he doesn't see it. And I can't wait till he does see it. But they weren't moving at 60 frames per second. Was they, Addict? I mean, did you see it? Only one that was moving at 60 frames was the Forza, but it looked good, but it didn't do what it's doing now.
It wasn't wowing. Like it just it's something to be said. Like I said, I don't know if their 4K game was not right. But they
had Samsungs though. They had Samsungs.
No, it just looked very average. You could have lied to me and said it was 1080p. Like I was like, where's the 4K? Like I just didn't. For whatever reason, I don't know. Again, if it was a configuration setting, picture setting, or whatever, or like you said.
All right, we saw the gears, we saw all this other stuff. Regardless to what, at E3, I walked away from it. Well, I'm gonna pick up another system. I felt it was just like a Pro. To be honest with you, I was just like, oh, it's like the Pro, whatever. I'm gonna get it anyway. And whenever they make games to take advantage of it, I'll be down with it, brother. When you put it on, everything is fantastic. Everything is literally fantastic. No matter what display that you got, you can run these things. How you gonna trust me? Listen, I don't get a nickel off of this, except for the ones that I sold. Shout out to those.
Lil Hustle. Get him, Lil Hustle.
Shout out to the hustle. Thank you, Microsoft. I appreciate it. I got a whole bunch of free stuff. But then my honorable mentions has to go to Assassin's Creed. Because that's the only game that I got that was new. Because I'm waiting for that Black Friday, baby.
So you're the smart guy here. Yeah, we all pay full price.
No.
Hey, it could be that you were kind of at E3. You were surrounded by people. You kind of, it wasn't really your home environment, and a lot of that does come into play. Like people try PSVR, right, when they're out and about, and they're like, "Oh man, it was horrible," but then they get at home in their own environment, and it's different to them. You know what I'm saying? So that could have something to do with it. Maybe not.
And they gave us drinks though. They gave us drinks too.
You could have something to do too. We was a little nice.
Yeah, we had a lot of mimosas. Shout out to Microsoft and the mimosas.
Hey, we gotta mention Shadow of War though. Shadow of War. If you want to stare at like I said this before, you want to stare at a cape or a rock or a stump or shit for like 30 minutes longer than you ever should. Shadow of War absolutely has some of the most insane textures you've ever seen in your life. If you want to know what that's like, Shadow War is your game. 10 gigabyte patch.
Two things real quick, Lord Dilla. Shout out to Lord Straight Duvall in the chat. He wants to ask you a question as far as what are the Tomb Raider settings on high frame rate, if you know.
Honestly, I don't know. I do know the 4K textures go through all the modes, so you get 4K assets in that mode. That's the mode I'm playing it on, and keep in mind I'm going back between all three, and I think that mode looks the best overall. It looks great in terms of visuals, but the fluidity, the frame rate is absolutely locked so far, and it just plays so well. So it just, I don't know if you played it yet, but once you do, you won't care. It looks absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, and shout out to your point with the Shadow of War. I think Microsoft actually dropped the ball with one thing. There's a mode as far as the 4K cinematic texture pack that they're not telling people is available. It's 21 gigs.
Yeah, you gotta go get it. Yeah,
you gotta go get it.
To be fair, though, they did the same thing on the PSN store. It's a separate thing in the DLC store. They did the same thing on Steam and the Microsoft store. It's a separate download in the store for that game. You got to download the cinematics pack.
It's just interesting, Dealer, why they're not really promoting it as something available. It's almost, I don't know. I don't feel like it's being publicized.
I got to call Microsoft out on their BS, though. I got to call them out on their BS. I don't see where they had with this intelligent downloading is coming into play with these hard drives.
I could tell you one game already that's using it.
Which one?
Assassin's Creed Origins.
Oh, okay.
So when you boot that game up, if you noticed, it asks you and keep in mind, intelligent delivery is designed as such, so it doesn't give you unnecessary things, right?
Right.
If you're English, you're going to be speaking English. It's not going to give you the Spanish voiceovers, and audio is a massive part of these file sizes. So keep in mind that you might hear everything in English, but some guy across the world is hearing every single part of that game in Chinese or whatever, right?
Right.
They got all those voice actors for each language to do all of that. So Assassin's Creed Origins, when you boot it up, it says you want English, whatever. If you notice, the other languages have a cloud next to them. You actually have to download those.
Oh.
Okay.
And that's why that game is 44 gigabytes with the next patch. I mean, these patches are not as big as some people are saying they are. I've got tons of games that are around 50 gigabytes with the next patch. Only a few games with 100 gigabytes, even Tomb Raider with a 4K pack. 30 gigabyte download, but it's still only 50 something gigabytes. Some chick at GameStop was selling people X's when I went and picked mine up, and she was telling people that Call of Duty was 70 gigabytes, and every game with the X adds 100 gigabytes. It's 170 gigabytes on the X, and this is a GameStop employee. And she was trying to sell, of course, hard drives. You know, there's a lot of misinformation out there. These games are not nearly as big as you think they are. There's a few 100 gigabyte plus games, but that's it.
Yeah, I got 19 terabytes because I was afraid.
That's
the game fear tactics worked on you hard now.
It wasn't. You know what it was? It was the combination between Best Buy having a nice sale on a 12 terabyte, and remember, I had a 6 inside my house. So and they stack. So I was like, and then also they took away a terabyte when they gave me the system because remember my S, I had the Gears of War system and I had the 2 terabyte. So
the red one. I still kept my red one.
I sold mine. Amazon was giving $200. Bye. Bye.
That's pretty good.
My top 3 right now. I want to shout out definitely Wolfenstein's on that list, man. I did that this morning. Completely blown away. That Machine Games, man. That game looking fantastic. And to be honest with you, I wasn't that impressed until he gets out. Spoiler alert! Until he gets out of the wheelchair. Then the 60 frames kicks in. Because I was like, at first, I'm like, yo, it looks pretty, it looks nice. You know, I wasn't like I was disgusted with it. You know, I was just like, okay, this looks nice. When he gets out and you're moving around, I was like, whoa, this is insane. Shout out to Wolfenstein 2. So that's on the list. Gotta throw in Halo, man. Halo, throwing on Halo, it's a completely new game. The 4K, it just really breathed completely new life into the title. You know, the resolution, it's really sweet, especially multiplayer as well. You got to jump in that. One of my third lists, so non-disclosures, my list is kind of incomplete because I haven't touched Shadow of War yet. That's on my list. I still have to touch that. But yeah, man, it's Gears.
Hey, we got to give a shout out to all the fanboys over the past year that was completely wrong about everything with the Xbox. Jeez, the thing wasn't $800. It wasn't $700. It does have 4K support. Developers are supporting it. They're not doing parity. They're not just not supporting it because the Pro and the PS4 is out front. They're not doing any of this crap.
You saying all that, it just really makes me think. People say some dumb shit.
They do, and you got people saying it now that it's out. Oh, it's underwhelming, or it's not this or that.
That's a lie.
Well, here's the deal.
Somebody owns an i7 or GTX 1080, right? The first thing I'm thinking when I'm playing Wolfenstein and I boot this game up, I'm like, this PC quality experience. This is what it's like to game on a game PC. Absolutely. Call of Duty, Battlefront, all of these games. Absolutely. Gears of War at 60 frames. This is a PC quality experience in many ways. It's undeniable.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. That's what they're trying to kind of throw under the rug. Like when they're making these comparison videos now, you're making PS4 Pro and PC comparisons.
Yeah, they throw the PC in there.
What you gain in PC isn't necessarily worth the money. Like this machine is astonishing for $500. What it's able to do, and they want to downplay that at every turn. Every naysayer downplays that.
Yep. Right. Well, let's be honest. Let's keep it all the way 100. I mean, a lot of this, you know, we're not going to disrespect PC in the sense that we know it. I mean, if you have the ultimate rig, yeah, of course it's going to be the best place to play. But at the end of the day, for $500, exactly, and representing. Shout out to your guy Cole Eastwood, and I saw your video, dealer, as far as breaking down, you know, comparison to building a $500
Another
PC.
dude I fucks with.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? As far as really being real about what you can get for that value. You cannot deny the value of the X. And the average consumer, Joe Blow, comes home from work, they either don't have the patience nor the intelligence, no disrespect to nobody, to try to sit there and piece together a rig like that. Whereas you just buy a box, plug and play, and good to go. There's still, what it's showing is there's still value and there's still benefit in it. And you're still getting these PC-like high level experiences. So we can't deny it. And we're just seeing a lot of, let's keep it real, like a lot of intimidation. People are intimidated. Any little
they're in the corner hissing at the Xbox. No.
Yes. I get it. Look, that's part of this whole fanboy thing. I get it. And right now that X is up right now, it's to be expected. But overall, from what I see, it's been a lot of positive response. It's been a lot of people bigging it up and giving it the credit it deserves, especially in comparison videos.
In comparison to the naysayers, because I got to keep it 100, there was some people that were saying, it's not necessarily warranted to jump. First, I don't advocate anyone going and living outside of their means. Now, shout out to Anchorman who got his system for his price. I was worried in the beginning. I thought I had to finagle something to help him out, but he got it.
Lord hustle.
Yeah, no. After I got off my deals, I was looking towards him to help him out because he expressed interest in certain things. So I said, I definitely help him out. But lo and behold, I saw the tweet. I saw the price. Brother, you have that. You are an ace. That's an ace.
Yeah, price. Man, them trade-ins. GameStop got them trade-ins, man. Absolutely.
He did it. He did it up. So I won't advocate anybody, going out breaking a bank for it. If you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Do it when you can't afford it. But I can say this without a shadow of a doubt. When you boot up any older game that you have in your library, digital, if you have a CD, a physical copy, trust me, you will see a difference on no matter what display you're displaying it on. You do not need a 4K television. All right.
Facts.
I thought Microsoft was BS. I really, honestly, seriously.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. I thought it was marketing speak at first. I'll be honest. I'm with you on that, Lord King. And when they were talking Super Saiyan, I'm like, yeah, but really, what you gonna see?
It's not even if you don't look at the super sampling and you don't look at the 4K aspect. It's like people with 1080p TVs can definitely benefit from this console because, it's like I said, games like Halo Wars 2 that drop drastically in frames, regardless if you have a 4K TV or not, those frames ain't dropping.
Yeah.
And trust me, some of these games like Unity need stuff like that. So
yeah. Facts.
So question, I mean, just to look at the other side of the coin, have you guys experienced anything that in terms of the experience on the console so far that isn't the greatest or hasn't been improved that much?
Let me jump in. Let me jump in. Quantum Break.
Oh no, I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you do that. No.
Can I get that?
No, you cannot get that. You know why? I want you to come to my house first.
Okay, so what you doing, the OLED situation? I know.
No. Mine is the QLED. The QLED.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Lord, listen, man.
I'm sorry.
Put it this way. This is for me. This is not the Lord King premium experience. This is the Lord.
But I agree.
This is where I'm at. You gotta understand, I threw in Gears. I threw in Wolfenstein. Halo, right? Premium. My eyes melting.
But the 60 frames per second, though.
Nah, bro.
60 frames per second in Quantum Break?
Bro.
Come to my house, Brian. I will.
Listen.
Come to my house today.
Bro, unless you're running it through a G-Sync mod, there's no 60 frames per second in Quantum Break.
Listen, when I tell you this, I want you to come over.
It affected me so much. I tweeted John Lennon, right? And I was like, yo, what happened with the high performance mode? Because in your demo, you had the fidelity mode, and I said, when I pressed start, I was like, where's the option to bump it up? Right?
Look, Lord King. Unless you got an HDMI cord that reaches from your house to Lord Cognito's house.
Go straight to Remedy. King got the Remedy feed. But I was like, yo, what's going on?
I also told you, though, on my Samsung 9 and some change upstairs, I don't see the same jump. Now,
maybe.
yeah.
Listen, I'm doing a Samsung KS 800,
Mhm.
8000, excuse me. You know, HDR, whatever. It ain't, you know, no OLED. But at the same time, it's just one of those things that's when I realized when 1400, like 1400p, what it was about.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, I don't like this. I'm not about this."
All right. Hey, do you know if your de-judder is on the one where you saying
You're gonna have to get dealer.
No,
Y'all
all
gonna
right.
have to give me
So,
the
like,
D-Judder settings. Y'all gonna have to give me some settings.
When my de-judder is off, okay, it's off. But on that television, it has this thing called HDR plus mode.
Mhm.
Right? That's fake HDR. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, no. All right. So, but all right. When I put on that HDR plus mode on that game in particular,
Okay.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think HDR plus mode is just kind of like sports mode or game mode. Obviously, if you're watching HDR content, it just adjusts all the settings in the TV. It's like a preset to get the most out of what your TV can do.
I'm against all of that stuff. I am a picture quality purist, so all that stuff off. Yeah. So.
No doubt. That's probably like my only negative experience, honestly. And to me, this is listen. The game looks better than how it was looking prior, absolutely. Right? I'm not going to disrespect the game. It's just that once you've got these high quality experiences. I won't even talk about Quantum Break.
Yeah, what about UI stuff? What about UI stuff? Because the UI for me doesn't necessarily run that much faster. I don't really see.
You know what game sucks for me?
What's that?
What's that desert game that they had with the little girl?
Recon?
No, the desert game, the Recore.
Man, this man don't even know these games' names. Get him out of here.
I don't even know your name. I don't even know your name.
Attic has a thing for Recore, man.
Lord Clueless, man. Lord Clueless.
Yo, the sad part about it is I got so many games and I got an X. I forget the names. But you can remember the games because you don't got that many.
Oh my God. Moving on, Destiny.
No. You can't run his mouth like that. How many games you got?
Who, me? 400 plus.
Oh, here we go.
Look, let's do it.
Here we go.
No. I don't need 400 plus. I need the other.
I don't game share. I don't game share with people.
Okay, so your point is, I still have these games. So it's irrelevant that I have these games.
You're the booch. You got your booch.
How is it booching when it's irrelevant that I have these games? No, but you got to explain this to me.
Listen,
right along.
Can't come at me, Mooch.
What you've been having? Let's get dealing back in the building because y'all out of control right now.
Yeah, let's go back.
Any little issues you've been having as far as any UI or any game, maybe not even issues, but let's just say any game you may have been like
any inconsistencies with the X,
either inconsistency or any game that maybe didn't impress you as you thought you might have been impressed?
Honestly, man, every game I booted up has been substantially better. I've been impressed with everything I've seen. My girl has been playing a lot of Slime Rancher. Even that game got an upgrade. It still looks like Slime Rancher, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like these are notable patches. Yeah. That's what I always said. Like the Pro, got patches, but they were quite unsubstantial. You got same 1080p mode, maybe with some better high resolution shadows, for instance, or better AA. Not only are you going to get more patches with the X, but they're going to be more substantial. They're going to have high res texture packs. They're going to do more. You're going to get more options, which that's great. I'm not noting as a Pro owner. I am definitely more pleased with everything I'm seeing on the X.
Oh, absolutely.
Over the Pro, and I don't know, man. It's just a very good experience. Some people are kind of worried because their game might crash once or twice. What I can recommend is now that the Xbox One X is using a 7200 RPM drive in the internal now, which is a lot faster. That's why you're getting load times that are substantially faster in some cases. Move that game to the internal drive. It may be more consistent. It may not crash.
That's a good point. I'm glad you said that.
I've gotten a few messages about that. Hey, my game crashed. Is that normal? Yeah, it happened on the S, and move it to the internal, see if it keeps happening. But it's not a common issue apparently.
Gotcha. Right. Cool. Lord Attic, I know you pretty much, like I said, you ain't really rocked this yet, but anything that you're seeing right now that might impress you to make the jump, or anything future? wise
I like the fact that they got the good Fallout an upgrade. So.
Oh my God, the Fallout 3. Shots fired at Egg.
I like that. I like the fact that I can play the good Fallout.
No doubt.
I mean, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that they're gonna look at the bad Fallout, but
Oh my God.
Oh, come on.
Look, we try to get Bethesda on the show, man. You
Fallouts
gotta
are bad
be
if you
easy.
play
You gotta
Witcher
be
3.
easy.
I mean, come on.
No doubt. Now let me ask this question to the round table real quick. What about the games that, like I said, are not patched? Have you guys like tried those out? Have you? Because I've done some loading tests. Like two of my biggest offenders were like Tekken 7 and what was the other? XCOM 2. And these are unpatched games, and I actually threw those on, and I was really impressed by the decrease in load times. Also, I think that's another thing that's not getting enough credit is load time to the actual boot screen. To the actual start screen. I'm seeing a significant improvement in that. So I don't know if any of you guys have been trying out any of the older games. Have you guys seen any differences?
I threw on Mad Max. I did Mad Max, and Mad Max is one of those games that does take a while to load up, and especially loading into like the desert, it's a lot to load in. And actually, it's pretty fast, and the game it just feels substantially smoother than it did on the S even. But yeah, that's pretty much the only one that I booted up that doesn't have an enhancement.
Okay.
My thing, I've been cheating in Destiny. What happens is, let's say we do a strike, right? And all the people that have X's, they load in first before the people that have an S, even before the NPCs spawned in.
Oh wow!
Yo, so I'll be in the board all the way at the checkpoints, and these guys spawn in, and I just start killing stuff when I see the NPCs spawn in. I just start killing them before they get a chance to get set. I hit all the switches and like the arms dealer quest. It is the best when you have an X. Because odds is you're gonna spawn in ahead of time.
No doubt. All right, well, yeah. So it's been a fun time so far with this X, man, and really seeing what everything's going on out there and just seeing the improvements. And definitely, it's been a great week, obviously, for Microsoft in this regard. So we're gonna wrap this thing up soon, unless anyone's got anything left to say on the Beast. Lord Dealer,
fun times.
You want to shout out about the Beast?
I would just say have a good time. Enjoy these PC quality experiences on a console for, in many cases, the first time. And it's only going to get better from. These are just older games that developers have dug out of some boxes in the office, right? They dug the old code out. They've decided, hey, we're going to patch this real quick. Put a day or two in, and they're done, and they look this great. So, these games, especially marketing deal games, are going to look absolutely insane in the future, and look forward to more console exclusive 4K texture packs, things like that.
Speaking of marketing deals, now that they got this this platform, do you think it's really vital that Microsoft secures as many high rated games that they possibly can for marketing?
Yeah.
Just to make sure
they're going to spend the money.
Well, I get that, but I feel like being able to, promote with that, because let's be real here, games like Destiny, Call of Duty, we know these games are coming out, but you don't really hear them talking about it because they got marketing deals. Right.
Yeah, I mean, Phil just came out with a statement, the reinvestment into the first party, their own IP. So I mean, to me, the way I look at it now is like the work on the hardware end is done. This thing is successful, and it's actually going to bleed into the poll question that we'll end the show off with. But it's one of those things where he's got that aspect done. So now all you have to do for 2018 is just keep bringing them games, just keep bringing them titles, keep showing the difference, keep having those like Lord Dealer said, those exclusive titles on the platform, and invest in that and showcase those differences. And maybe now you can start to get that momentum and keep it going.
And it's important too for Microsoft and third parties as well. And I think they're leaning this way. They game on PC. They like 60 frames better than 30. That's just a universal fact. It's just better.
Imagine
make that an option on every game that it can possibly be an option on.
Imagine what games like Halo 6 is going to look like on the X.
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
Because those games are definitely being built with the X in mind.
No doubt. So we got the last thing was the new ILP poll this week. So now that the Beast has arrived, has Microsoft kept its word with the Xbox One X and restored the feeling? The choices will be A, yes, Phil kept his word and Xbox is now heading back in the right direction? Or B, no, this is just a honeymoon phase and the games are still lacking? So now I got to get my Sony dudes been getting at me, so I got to give them they voice so they can get their shine.
I mean, that's kind of odd that they would even speak about not having games for a little bit.
I don't know, right?
It literally didn't have games for years. I mean, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection was your fall game for 1 year or something like that. So, come on, let's not talk about that. This is just facts, though, right? I mean, am I wrong?
Nope, you're right.
In the initial part of the cycle, yes, they were living a lot
and I think it's okay for Microsoft to have. Hey, it's their worst year ever in terms of exclusives.
Yes, we call it the year of the L. Sorry, continue. Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's over. The drought's over. Now you're playing the same things we are, all third-party stuff, just like you touted about for years. Geez, I'm actually pretty damn balanced. But when I hear these hypocrites talk about this stuff, it's annoying. It's annoying. You can't tell the difference between 3.6 million pixels and 8 million, right? Now you can't tell that difference, but 900p to 1080 you could, huh? So that's what I'm saying.
The part that blows my mind is because of 1 year of bad exclusives. And, I wouldn't even say it was like, if you look at it like a whole lot worse than than Sony. I mean, look at Sony's first party, the second party, the third party. Like, all it's like, what have they dropped this year? They dropped Knack 2. They dropped Horizon, and they dropped sports. Like, that's all. Like,
but we can't minimize the Neo.
Well, I get that. I get that. But we're talking about we're talking first party, the thing that they always
first
criticize.
party.
We're not talking about second party. We're talking about the first party that they always criticize. And look, Microsoft's had a bad year. Everyone's accepted this, but there's people out there that's made the same video 15 times. I mean, there's people out there that come out there and they say Microsoft has never had exclusives, and I'm like,
they've had more first party and second party exclusives, I would think. First and second party, I think, throughout the generation, or a very similar amount. I mean, you can't argue that. Not only that, but more of those games are in the 80s or the 80s than with Sony as well when it comes to their first party stuff, where Sony has a couple must-haves, which really Uncharted 4 is that game for me. Uncharted 4 is absolutely phenomenal. I've always said this. Big Uncharted fan. And people say, well, Tomb Raider's better. And I'm like, well, for one, that's highly debatable. And secondly, they have both over there. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
So they've got games, they've got really good high quality experiences, but you've got to at least give props. A lot of these guys are both hypocrites, and they can't even say, yes, the X is a good piece of kit. The 4K drive alone makes up the $100 price difference.
Give some Lost Legacy it did come out. I'll give you that, Eco. Like, Lost Legacy did come out, but
that's DLC though. Whatever. We didn't count Blizzard Mountain as a game. Come on now.
Okay, no, I gotta intervene. Bloodborne is not the best game that's came out this year. Go somewhere.
Sony. He got this flag hard up.
For somebody, Bloodborne is the best game. It's like it's a game for everybody.
That's what I was about to say. It's like, look, like.
Somebody said the 4K Blu-ray player. Who are you listening to? Why don't you go look at some reviews? And the highest in 4K Blu-ray players out there have slightly better post-processing. That's it. Yeah. So stop listening to the fraud you're listening to, and I think I know who it is, and just look up some stuff because information's ubiquitous. Let's learn together. Let me help you.
When it comes down to it, you can't even really debate what console has better exclusives because it's all subjective. You can have someone that literally hates playing games by themselves. They don't like single-player games. They were raised with the multiplayer mentality. They might not like any game Sony be dropping.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true.
It's all subjective.
I really hate playing over there because it feels like I'm in an isolated bubble.
A lot of people do, but don't get me wrong. I got a PS4 Pro, which unlike a lot of these frauds criticizing Microsoft, I've got both.
Yeah,
I can tell you that I enjoy the ecosystem on Xbox, but there are some people that don't.
Look at Lord Cognito acting like he didn't just get another one.
No, I said I got it. I said I just got both.
Everyone's got their preferred box. That's what I'm trying to say here. And
that's right.
Which you clearly are. Every month on PS4, the top 20 games are multiplats on that system. You like multiplats. We're all playing multiplats for the rest of the year. We know that, right? You're done with everything else.
You know,
give us some props. It's not that hard.
something I am kind of curious with is
It's hard for them.
You know, people keep saying, "Oh, they got exclusives. They got exclusives." Look, Sony makes money off exclusives, but they make more money off licensing multiplats, and I think that's why they're going to care about this. You know, best place to play multiplayer, because it doesn't really count for people that just have, you know, an Xbox or just have a PlayStation, but there's a huge portion of gamers that have both. And those are the ones that they're going to start losing market share when it comes to, you know, third-party games. And let's be real here, you know, maybe 10, 15,000 go away, but it's not going to be that. There's going to be a lot of people that gravitate towards the better platform to play that game on, because it happened at the beginning of the generation. You know, people look at stuff like Digital Foundry, and when you keep seeing these migration of these people going to Xbox One X because they want to play it on the best platform, then, you know, they are starting to lose that software sales. They're losing those percentages. And Sony does care about that. They care about that way more than they care about the exclusives they have, because that's what's paying their bank. That's what's giving them money, is the drastically more sold games as third party.
Well,
they make more
Sony
money.
Does have more. They do have a bigger selection, more options, more variety. That's true, and we can't take that away from them. But they now can't go and take performance away from Microsoft.
I bet you anything they make more money off of Call of Duty every year than they make off their exclusives.
At the end of the day, listen, it's one of those things where you play where your friends are, you play with the ecosystem that you like, and you know they do offer variety. That's a fact.
Exactly.
You know, we can't say that. But at the same time, it's like Lord was saying, it's like if you want the best place to play these multiplats, and if you love the Xbox ecosystem, then that's the spot for you. Now the key is going to be 2018. We'll see what, you know, our only begotten son, Lord and Savior Phil Spencer.
yo, what's the crazy part about it? The crazy part about it is my backing is panning out on this dude.
I will say this, Lord King. And you know, listen, I don't hate Phil. I think Phil's a great guy. You know, I am a bit critic though. And, you know, obviously I always respect the fact that the hand he was dealt from Don Matrick was a bad hand. And what he's done to turn the brand around. It's this 2013 E3, y'all. Come on. Y'all know that was not whew.
They handed it over on a silver platter.
It's like opening up poker with, you know, a five high card and coming out with a full house.
The man was down from the jump, you know. So I got to give him that, and to see the vision. And I have to say, right now, you know, with all the negativity that the X was getting for the majority of the year, it's good to see what's happening right now and people actually embracing the machine and starting to support it a little bit. So let's just see what happens in 2018. He's got to bring the software now. But shout out to Lord King. I know that's your guy.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
He doing it big out here, son. Yo, he doing it way big.
He listens to the show. Shout out to Phil. And he approached you about that. He wanted to challenge
when we had that little one-on-one, and you know, I was giving him the vanilla answer, and he was just like, "Nah, I don't want to hear that. Tell me the truth."
Yeah, because he know.
He know. They listen, and I said, "Okay, you really want it?" and you know what?
He gave him that side look, like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, I'm like, "Yo, we on camera right now. Do you really want this?" And
you know, one thing, that video didn't make it to YouTube.
No,
yo, ankle went at you, King. He said, "Phil, the snake oil salesman Spencer."
Well, you know, I'm gonna tell you this, Anchor. Not for nothing.
But it's Ankle, not Anchor.
Ankle, who that guy? Okay, whatever. He's been over here trolling me for a minute. I like him. Keep trolling me, baby. Listen, I like what he's doing. He does what I like to do. Like, take away your narrative. If your narrative is this thing, let me remove that and see what else you have to say. Now, they just told you they put $1 billion into gaming. Brother, when these games start to hit, I don't want to hear, "Oh, Microsoft doesn't have first-party games and stuff like that anymore." They have the box, they have the pedigree now, and moving forward, like Lord Dealer said, you plug in your controller, your headset, everything works. It's no, "Oh, I need to do this," or "I need to buy a different thing," or nothing. Your stuff works.
You know what the new thing's going to be, right? When all that happens, is it doesn't matter. They have the COD, they have the COD marketing. They have the Battlefront marketing. They have the big third parties. They don't need games or power. I guarantee you something like that's going to happen.
They better watch out for Nintendo, because Nintendo just said they're going to do 30 million systems next year.
But I do have a question someone asked. Fastback 247 says, "You guys think Xbox will go get the COD marketing exclusive deals again.
No.
Nah, I think Phil's shying away from it. What do you think, Dylan?
No. I mean, they don't even care to make their own games exclusives anymore. So
Yeah. So anyway, let's close this thing out. We got football on deck in about 10 minutes. So we're gonna wrap
let's
this
go.
thing up. But yo, shout out to Lord Dealer for coming through, man. Big fan. So glad to get the support from you. And like I said, the Lords, we definitely respect you coming through. So where can the people find him? Before actually, I wanted to ask you real quick before we let you go to a reference. Where did you get the name? Tell me about the Dealer Gaming name. What's the science behind that?
He's the dealer behind gaming.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I'm not dealing crack rocks, I'll tell you that much. My initial gamer tag was, I think it was Death Dealer, something a fucking 2-year-old would make. And they kept calling me either Death or Dealer. And I said, you know what, I'll choose one. Changed it. And then I made that my YouTube name. And then I had to make sure that it had something to do with what I was actually doing on YouTube. So I put gaming behind it. There you go. So,
there you go.
That's probably the shortest, simplistic answer anyone's ever gave when it came to a name.
I'm trying to waste people's time. You know, that's what I do. So, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. I know you just had Colt on recently, and I was able to come through for you guys. It was a good show.
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for coming through. And where can people find you in that beautiful RDX podcast? Get your promo on, sir.
Twitter is where basically anytime I release a video, podcast, anything, Twitter at @dealer_gaming. Of course, at YouTube, Dealer Gaming, pretty easy to find. And just released a video today during this podcast. My twin did. Nice. So,
nice.
Good show.
Future Dealer. Nice. We got everybody to check that out, man. Like I said, support this guy. Great content. The whole team over there, South, Luca, all day, Colt. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to these guys. Like, really, really good podcast. So we definitely want to show our love and support. So, Lord Addict, my co-host with co-most, what you got cooking, and where can people find you?
You can find me mean mugging Lord King David. But
yes.
You can find me on Twitter. Lord Addict ILP. You can find me on YouTube, Gaming Addict. You can find me on Xbox, Room to Kill, and you can now find me on PlayStation, Room to Kill.
Stay with your chest. Stay with your chest. Stay with your chest.
I'm not there yet. Okay, I'm not there yet. But
okay.
You could definitely catch me on the Switch. You can find that somehow.
Put your social security number out. Put that friend code social security. Let's go.
I don't even know it. To be honest with you, I don't even know it. But you can find me on Steam, Gaming Addict. So I do want to take the time to thank Diller for coming through. Definitely, we've been wanting you on for a while, but we've been holding that Diller card. But like we don't want to go to it for a while. But
thanks again, guys.
Much appreciate Lord Staff. Where can people find you, sir?
Oh, sorry. PSN ID is Room to Kill. I didn't say that actually.
Yes, Room to Kill. TO Kill. Yeah, Lord Staff. Where can people find you, sir?
Yeah, big shout out to Dealer, man, and getting you up early. We apologize for that. On a Sunday, I think all of us are dragging our feet. So big shout out.
Blame the NFL.
It was my fault, man. I stayed up until like forever working on a video and a paper. It's just, but I made it. Hey, good show, guys. Once again.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, man. You guys can find me on Twitter, Lord Sab ILP, and online PSN and Xbox Live.
Wow.
More of Xbox Live here lately.
That's amazing. That's amazing, sir. Lord King.
Yo, shout out to Dealer for you actually helped me with that the hard drive thing to find the patches because I was telling people about it. They was just like, no. I said, listen, I'm sending you the video. Just do what he says. It works. It's really good. It's serious. It worked. Like
do what he says. This is what this man does.
I'm like, yo, just follow the instructions and shut up.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, it was really straightforward. These guys are scared. I'm not doing that.
I'll plug my external. That might break.
It might die. What are you crying?
What do you mean I have to get up and go to my console?
I gotta read.
I swear, everything that he said, I got that whole stuff. Yeah, I really did. Anyway, catch me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, PlayStation, PSN.
What's the PlayStation tag for the people?
Xbox 360 level 01.
Oh my God.
what Curiosity was like 00 or 03 took? Like, why'd you go
Yes,
straight to 01?
somebody took it. That's the best part about that. There's another dude like me out there.
You know, I do want to take this like little shot at PlayStation. I was wanting to make Gaming Addict, you know, on PlayStation, but they don't let you do spaces for some reason. So like I had to fall back on that dream. Thanks a lot, Sony.
Oh my God, that's terrible. So yeah, of course, Lord Cognito here. We spend that gaming realness again. Thanks for Lord Dealer coming through, and yeah, you can find me obviously on outlets Lord Cognito on Twitter, and actually on Xbox as well. It's Lord Cognito and newly acquired PSN Pro from my man Lord King.
Yeah.
You catch me there. I'm Cognito 360 there. So you can catch me, like I said. Right now it's about the X, so not as much. But yeah, again, shout out to Deal on the show. Great guest. We got to pay the bills right quick. Like I said, you want to hit the like, subscribe. Everybody supporting those Inner Circle networks and ILP, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, and of course that amazing TickGN Patreon. The link is in the description. Exactly. Yo, shout out to Plantronics, man. We have some more reviews coming. You know, those rigs are out here moving in the street. If you're trying to get yourself a nice little headset right there, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you check them out, the Rig 400s and the Rig 800s, and getting that beautiful, crispy, clear Dolby Atmos, y'all. Especially with the Xbox One X. So it's a good way to maximize your system. You know? And on that note, we're going to end this thing. And
with your chest puffed out.
With your chest puffed out.
Hey, and real quick too, I wanted to mention, because it absolutely deserves credit, Microsoft's new high bitrate, high resolution game DVR capture on the X is absolutely top notch. I mean, it is ridiculous.
Beautiful.
My last video, that's all straight from the DVR. I plugged in a little flash drive in the back of the X. I recorded the clip. I took it, put it on my PC, and that's Xbox One X DVR footage, 4K 60.
Wow.
Looks amazing. I mean, it's nuts. I don't know if you guys have checked it. Figured I'd throw it out there. Try it out, man.
No. They're definitely going to check it out. Shout out to Dealer for mentioning that. Make sure you guys get on that, baby. 4K movement is here. And on that note, we're going to end the show. Everybody have a good one. Peace.